The Big Lerf podcast, talking LRF and more. Hello listeners, and welcome to the very first Big Lerf podcast. This will hopefully be an ongoing series where myself and other like-minded anglers talk LRF and other types of lure fishing. Of course, this being our first attempt, there are some rough edges. We recorded in Richard's car in a car park next to a train line, which goes with all these different sounds that come into the pod, but hopefully won't become too distracting for you. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, welcome to part one of the Big Lerf podcast. You're here with me, Ben Bassett, and I've got Richard Salter with me.
Hello.
And Joe Mole.
Hello.
Hello, guys. So this is our first attempt at a podcast. Could be our last, but it's all about just giving it a try and seeing how it turns out. I thought I'd just sort of started off by talking about how individually we got into LRF and sort of why we love it, etc. So I thought I'd start with Rich and sort of tell us, guys.
So I mean, I've always fished, sort of since I was a kid, sort of on and off, but mostly sort of dabbling around the Bristol Channel, little rivers and ditches around that sort of area. But LRF sort of grabbed my attention when I moved to Devon. I was looking. I think I was googling, lure fishing, light lure fishing, and up popped LRF, which immediately looked interesting. I think I saw a little video of someone catching a scorpion fish on a jig head, and I thought that looked really cool. And snowballed from there really.
Quite the snowball.
It happened to clash with the birth of my daughter, which wasn't very convenient. My sort of beginning of my obsession, but so.
Inconvenient daughter.
Yeah.
I mean,
the fishing.
Obviously, you say it's snowballed. I mean, you've obviously. I mean, a lot of people will know you, particularly on this in the sort of small world of LRF, as Devon Lerfer and YouTube. Yeah. I mean, obviously, might as well just talk about that. I mean, how did that start?
Totally sort of unplanned. My wife kindly bought me a GoPro for, I think it was one Christmas or birthday. And I sort of, I don't know what am I going to do with this. So I just obviously strapped it on when I went fishing. YouTube was just a platform to be able to upload it, and just basically me messing around, sort of, tinker, chucked a bit of music on it, put it on there, and people started watching it for some reason. And,
well, that is your typical modesty. I mean, I'm going to say for the listeners here that obviously I've had literally to drag Richard into doing this because, I mean, it doesn't come naturally to you at all, talking on this. As everyone who's watched his videos will know, obviously doesn't like talking on the videos.
Not my favourite.
That's probably your biggest request, I think, isn't it? People are asking
my least favourite request.
Yeah. So I've sort of forced him into doing this because I'm not doing this on my own. Okay,
could be the start of some talking videos.
Oh, yeah.
Don't hold your breath.
You could get the flavour for it, Rich. You could get the flavour. But yeah, so obviously I'll just briefly talk about how we met as well. Obviously that was through sort of Facebook, Instagram kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
We sort of started talking about LRF, and I can't remember how long ago that was. It was years ago now.
It was a lot, yeah. I'm thinking probably 2016. Maybe.
Yeah, that's it. So
met you down Elphinstone, I think it was.
Yeah. And then from then on, we've fished everywhere pretty much, been all over the place, caught silly amount of species, and it's been great. And obviously a recent addition, though it's definitely been a couple of years now, to sort of Big Lerfing team, I guess. Not that we've ever thought it was going to be that. Is Joe Mole. And Joe, if you want to sort of introduce yourself and how you got into LRF.
Yeah, so I'm Joe. I've been fishing since forever, always been doing it, various different ways, a lot of bait fishing, a lot of feathering, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, that's it. Don't hold it against you.
Before you work out what actually lives out in those in the waters that we got, before you just thought it was mackerel, bass, that's it, and kind of spiraled from there. I've lived in rock pools all my life since I
doesn't live in a house, lives under a shell.
live in rock pools. Always been interested in what is in those pools. Will always would have had my hand in them, would have stuck a net in them. So it's only a natural progression from there. And again, it was about 5-6 years ago. Was following different fishermen on Instagram. Came across Ben and Rich. Seen that they're doing it with all this light gear. We're finding these cool things that I was only finding in rock pools by netting them out and stuff like that. But they were finding even more species than I knew existed at the time. So went to my local tackle shop, picked up a light rod, nice little 1000 size reel, and started having a crack at it, making it up as I went along, and got more into it from there, watching Rich's videos, kind of getting the gist of how he was fishing, reading Ben's blogs, seeing their posts. And I think the first time I met you, Ben, fishing was at Elphinstone as well. I bumped into you there. You were sat on the little corner fishing.
That's true.
And, yeah,
that's where he does.
You there.
Yes,
So
that's what I do.
he's always there at Elphinstone, luring in young lurfers, getting us ready to ditch bait and teach us the ways of the soft plastic.
Yeah, that is weird actually. I've completely forgot about that. That's how I first met you. But I think the first time we fished together properly was in Exmouth, I think.
Yes.
I've got a feeling it was
that February day.
Was that
Yes.
when you were dropping coalfish all over the shop?
Yeah, I dropped 2 coalfish. I've literally only just caught one for the first time. They're not very common down here. It's obviously being in Plymouth and things like that. So it was devastating to drop the 2, especially when Rich is catching them for fun in front of me.
I could see you doing it.
And you actually have it on video.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it drops off. It's like just in slow motion. Just
You almost had your hands on it, didn't you?
I did, mate. I ran for it, but I was not going to catch it. So it was pretty devastating. But that was my first meet of Joe, and so you're Dawlish LRF on Instagram.
I am.
Yeah. So obviously you post quite regularly on there. If you want to see just a beautiful array of gurnards.
Yeah, it's just a shrine to gurnard, basically. I do love a gurnard.
If you like your tub gurnards, that is the place to be. I think it's Joe's Insta. I think for myself, I've sort of been proper fishing LRF mostly, pretty much nothing else really for the last 5 years. So 2016 was probably when things I got into it. I've been fishing since I was 8 years old. Brief sort of stop when I was a teenager to sort of try and chase girls as it goes, and then saw the light eventually when I was like 25, 24 maybe.
Realised the fish are a little bit more fun.
Yeah, well, yes, at
Within
times.
reason.
Within reason at times. My missus will be listening to this. But yeah, the fish are, there's definitely a lot out there, and it's something that I just was completely fascinated with, and I wanted to sort of do more of, and I was really fascinated with species. I always wanted to sort of see the different ones, and LRF is just essentially the natural progression, I think, when you talk about species hunting. I mean, that's not all it is, but it's definitely a big part of it, and something that all of us really, really enjoy, just trying to get as many species as possible. And I think that led naturally to, I say naturally, obviously it was just something I wanted to do, but blogging, and because I was reading a lot of blogs, and I thought they were really inspirational. It wasn't LRF blogs, it was all sort of course fishing mostly. But I really liked like Dom Garnett, and there's a few other ones I've mentioned before that were just really, really inspiring. I thought it's such an easy medium to get involved with. It's something that you can refer back to, and it doesn't get so easily lost like a Facebook post. You post.
Yeah, you've got that, haven't you?
That's it. Yeah. I mean, it's something that you can go back to on a Google search. If you search it on Facebook, it's gone forever, pretty much.
Sure.
It's on there for 5 days, whatever it is, until the algorithm sort of like gets rid of it. So it's been good. It's been moved to a new blog platform with WordPress, and just been really quite proud of that. Really, I've obviously wrote for a few other places as well. So like Hook Point as well, which I thought
that's going well, isn't it?
So that's going well. It's going. They're actually going to be trying out going to print next month. So keep an eye out for that, guys. Obviously, that's a bit of a thing for them. But it's just been really good. But so that's obviously leads us into really the Big Lerf and why we're here. Why is this called the Big Lerf podcast? Well, that's kind of been our little go-to sort of phrase, I guess, for the last couple of years, really, doesn't it? With last year, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll go through. Obviously, it won't be all me talking, but how did it sort of begin? Sort of, Rich, you want to start?
So I mean, it started from us planning a weekend away to Cornwall, just us three fishing, didn't it?
Yeah.
We knew the CLF wasn't going to be happening that last year.
CLF, for people who don't know what that is?
Cornish Lure Festival.
Yeah. So
the species hunt side of it, obviously.
Yes.
So COVID put pay to that, didn't it, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, we sort of planned a little trip away, and it snowballed from there, didn't it?
Yeah, and it obviously, again, that's sort of a bit of a theme, but things we never intended to get as big as they did sort of turned massive, didn't it, really? And
Yeah.
it was a sort of a weekend that us three really just were planned to just go away and just fish really hard for like 48 hours or whatever, and just stay in one, in a, I think we ended up staying in, where did we stay during it? We were
A shipping container.
it was a shipping container.
Oh,
yeah.
how could we forget?
How could we forget? That was
Still,
very cramped.
yeah.
Yep.
Hot.
Hot. Yep. It was in the Eden Project, and
Of all places.
of all places, yeah. It was definitely an experience in its own. I think that's the sort of stuff that you sort of enjoy, you take from it as well. It's a sort of the scavenger hunt style of going out there, trying to go to this place to catch this species, go to this place to catch this species. It's just trying to tick off as many as possible. And I think obviously the whole aim of the Big Lerf really is just to go and just celebrate how many different species you can catch on lures in fresh and salt water, and that's not just this country. So obviously we've hopefully got some people going from, was it America, Rich?
Yeah, there's quite a few guys that sort of keen on their species hunting over there that have showed quite a bit of interest in getting involved.
Yeah, I think you share quite a few of those. What's the sort of some flatfish and stuff they get?
Flatheads, sticky rice goes fishing. So the guy that poses little Star Wars figures next to us.
They are very cool posts. He doesn't have a lot of followers either, and I'm surprised.
He deserves more followers.
Yeah, I've recently just started following him. Actually, started following each other, and very cool posts.
I think he's excited about the Big Lerf, isn't he?
And again, I'm just trying to think. There's another chap that I chat to quite regularly. Here he is. Look. The Instagram name is The Joy of Fishing with Bob Emery, and he's been really enthusiastic and supportive of the Big Lerf since last year, and it was via him that these other guys have really got involved. They've been messaging their friends or tagging them, and there's a bunch of them.
It's a good buzz for those guys.
Now,
so if you're listening, guys, obviously we're really excited for you guys to be involved, and also want to give a shout out to the Portuguese LRF guys. Edgar there is just so keen on it, mate, and I'll speak to him regularly, and he's just I look forward to seeing what crazy species he pulls out, because he seems to pull out a different one every day.
He does. Amazing stuff.
And cool techniques.
He's big into the sort of the techniques. I recommend, obviously, if anyone interested in sort of seeing that, I mean, if you look on the LRF Light Game sort of page, he posts on there a lot, but obviously the LRF Portugal is really good as well, group on Facebook. So that's the sort of flavour you're going to get from across the world, but obviously in this country, we're hoping that we're going to get some guys, because what did we have last year? Was it
44?
44 species
on
lures. So that's all on artificial. So what counts as a lure? So we're counting the scented fake baits, sort of the Isom or Isome, Gulp, Ecoge Aqua, all those sort of ones, because they're artificial. As I said, they're made in a lab, etc. They're not dug out of the ground, so we're counting those as lures. So it's a really good opportunity to get loads and loads of species in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
44 to beat, isn't it? So
I'm hoping we can see some more, and we've actually got prizes this time as well. So after the success of the Big Lerf fundraiser, which you just had in July, which is where we raised loads of money, raised over 1,500 quid or so for Britain's Hidden Fishes, which is a documentary that Jack Perks is putting together, which we had. I mean, obviously you guys can talk about the success of that. That was really, really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, cracking day, absolutely cracking day. What makes it for me is just the amount of lurfers that show up. You see these people online, you talk to these people online, and then you get to see them in person. You get which is just really good. It's a really good community of fishermen. Everyone is on the same page. Everyone enjoys doing the same thing. So it's
I think it's really
makes it some real
together
good
a lot
fun.
of people, hasn't it?
It really did, and there was, it was a good sort of mix of people from all walks of life, really, I thought, and but everyone seemed really genuine and really excited to be there. And so that was in Weymouth back in July, and as I said, Adam Kirby won it with the most species. I mean, that guy is an absolute legend of the scene. And Will came second. Will Pender, again, another legend. So probably the favourites took it, but I said that was really good. But yeah, loads of good effort from a load of other anglers as well.
Yeah, I think this as a social event, that was the big win, wasn't it? Really,
That's it. Yeah.
That many people getting together in the name of LRF.
Exactly.
And fundraising for a
exactly.
Quite an exciting project as well. So.
Exactly. Well, we hope next year, we'll hopefully do another fundraiser. Whether it'll be as big as that, I don't know, but we can see, and hopefully
let's hope so.
We'll do it. But the main focus at the moment is the Big Lerf Weekender, which is September the 10th, finishing on, so that's the Friday, finishes on the Sunday. Get involved in all the social media, so Instagram and Facebook mostly. Just have to hashtag during that weekend your catches, which are going to be, or tag us, do whatever you like on that, to be eligible for prizes. And so your hashtag the Big Lerf Weekender. Probably will accept Big Lerf and things like that as well. We'll have a good search around and make sure
find all the different
exactly.
tags.
We're not going to be picky with this. We just want you guys to catch some fish and want to see as many as we can. What we got prizes for? We got coolest fish, which we're going to vote for, I think. So I really hope something special is going to come out. Yeah. I mean, the coolest fish that won in July was Morris's red mullet special fish. So if something like that comes out, I'll be over the moon. So
that'd be very cool.
Exactly. This is all over the country, so you've got your chances of crazy stuff. I mean, anything could come out of LRF, can't it? So you got the Hartlepool lads who could literally pull anything out of that marina.
Lump suckers.
Lump sucker. I mean, that'd be a very good chance of winning it.
Contender, I think, wouldn't it?
It definitely would. I mean, I'm trying to think of the other places. You've got the guys in Wales, and you've got Scotland as well. So if someone pulls out like a Yarrow's Blenny or something like that, that'd be cool to see.
Nice big short spine scorpion or something.
Oh yeah, monster short spine.
Tadpole fish are always a cool one to see.
Yeah, that'd be very good.
Yes.
And the freshwater guys. If you've got something cool, if someone pulls out a Wales catfish or something like that,
definitely.
I'd be definitely thinking about giving that the prize for the coolest fish. So I said, but it's not in our hands. It's purely in the hands of all you guys. So when everyone will vote for that, and so we'll have everyone involved. So that's really good. We've got most species on hard lures as well. So I mean, that's probably where the freshwater guys could do really well on that.
Yeah.
You've also got perch, pike, zander. You could even get a few silvers and stuff on the metals. I mean, obviously I know you caught a minnow on a metal, so these things could, anything could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah. Those fish are feeding, they'll do it.
Exactly. But I'm hoping we can get some good totals on the metals or hard lures, to get for that. And what else do I go for?
We've got some sponsored prizes, haven't we?
But that's for sponsors, yeah. So those prizes are all sponsored by. It's Major Craft.
Did we have a junior prize?
We do have a junior prize. We have got a junior prize. So this is obviously a big thing. I'm forgetting about it all now. But a big thing for us is just seeing the young'uns get involved. I mean, I think we were talking about it the other day. It's so hard to see some of these young'uns getting given this massive rods that they can't handle, casting out only a few feet in front of them, and just losing will to live.
Yeah, understandably as well.
Of course, they're going to go and play on their PlayStation, because it's or look at their phone. It's like soul destroying.
Yeah.
What we really want to see is young anglers getting into fishing, and LRF is the perfect gateway for that.
It is.
It doesn't have to be overly complicated. It can just be fluoro all the way through, and they'll still catch fish. And it's I said, hopefully in future pods, if we do them, we'll go into that. But it's definitely something I think. So I want to see as many sort of young anglers as we can. Obviously, adults can enter them, so we'll just have the adults put everything on social media for them. Don't have to put their faces or anything. Just obviously let us know what their age is, and obviously just we're hoping that nobody takes the mick and cheats or anything.
I don't, spirit of the lurf, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think they will, because the prizes are not massive, so it's not going to be worth sort of doing that. And as I say, hoping you don't use, we don't want to see any bait or anything. At the end of the day, it's the artificial lures, that's what we want to see. But it's all friendly stuff. It's all, get them. So there's definitely prizes for the juniors, and we want to see them, as many catches really from them as possible, really, don't we?
Yes, be a nice, easy one. So we'll all have the time to fish this whole weekend. If you're at home and you can't get away and you've got your kid with you, spend a day out just having a fish.
That's it,
Spend the whole weekend. You can just do that one day, just have a nice day out having a little fish, and you could win some prizes. Could just the fact that you've got your kid out fishing and having a good day, it's what it's all about.
Definitely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I really hope we see a few. yeah, we'll obviously hopefully push that a bit more in the coming weeks, with the youth, and yeah, we'll see that. Yeah, so really that's just our main sort of buzz. Hopefully we can get you guys excited for the Big Lerf weekend. It went really, really well last year, September, and I think so we had 40 odd species. I think individually between us we probably had about 25 species, something like that.
Yeah,
that was a good amount.
Yeah,
it was a really, really good amount, and but you don't need to come down to Cornwall for it. But if you want to come down to Cornwall, and obviously hopefully we'll bump into you.
Yeah, drop us a message.
Yeah, drop us a message. Let us know if you're coming down. But obviously, literally across the country, get involved. We want to see some, crazy stuff from the north. We want to see some stuff from the southeast, whatever. Where there's fish. We want to see you guys. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And
am I right in thinking we got a prize for overseas catches?
We have, yes. Yeah,
it's the coolest overseas, isn't it?
Coolest overseas catch. I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool overseas.
Well, that's it. We're all going to look at these fish and go, that is a cool fish. So we're going to have to put it to the vote on that one, I think, and see what happens. But
yeah,
there's definitely going to be a few very crazy catches coming up on that one. I think that we're going to all get pretty excited about. But yeah, that's going to bring part 1 to a close. And so part 2, we'll just be talking about our recent sessions and catches, and we'll go from there. But thanks, guys. The Big Lerf podcast, talking LRF and more. Okay, so here's part 2, the Big Lerf podcast, episode 1, and we just thought we'd talk about our recent sessions, sort of the easier stuff to talk about, really, because obviously we've all been catching a few, and we haven't all been fishing together actually recently. I sort of thought I'd begin with Joe's Gurnard mission that he's had recently. So, Joe, if you want to talk that through.
Yeah, my tears, joy, turbot, it's had it all throughout this. So
Tears, joys, turbot. That's pretty good, mate.
That is. So, as a couple of you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I fish Dawlish a lot. That's where I'm based. Dawlish gets a nice little invasion of Gurnard every year. And when they hit pretty hard. And I gave myself a challenge of giving myself July to August to catch 100 Gurnards. I was short on the last day by 5.
Thwarted by the weather, aren't you?
Yeah. The storm Emmett that rolled in absolutely ruined it for me. Churned up seas, heavy rains, heavy winds. Just, put a stop to it. 5 short. But, it's cracking fun. It was good to set myself a little challenge. And, like I said, picked up a turbot along the way, which is the first one I've seen come out down here. So that was a nice little surprise as well. And as always, just gives you a bit of confidence to use new lures and tactics that you've never tried before.
Yeah, and that's worth saying. What were you catching these guys on?
Caught them on everything. So artificial lures, so from your basic stuff from the isomi and gulp, right up until like creature baits, going from soft plastics like the Kitech little spiders. They went down a tree to the more different like the Eco Gear.
You've had a few metals and stuff, haven't you?
On the metals,
the vibes, etc.
Yeah, lots of different vibes. The new Major Craft.
Is it Chinu blades?
Yeah, Chinu blades. Yeah. They've done really well. Yeah, nice little hook up on those ones. So whatever will land in front of them, really, as long as you tease them enough, they'll smash into it.
Yeah, brilliant. And what sort of technique would you recommend for people trying it for Gurnard first time?
Doesn't matter about distance, I don't think. When they are feeding, they are at your feet and they are at distance. So you just chuck a lure out, get it to the bottom, just bring it back slowly. Lots of pauses I'll do. So I'll flick it up off the bottom, let it sink back down, and then I'll just continue. But lots of big pauses. I've found myself, when they hit that pause, they'll come in and they'll just snuffle it on up. And once they've got it, you don't really lose them. They take the hooks well.
Yeah, they've got a hard mouth, and so once it's in, that's
it's stuck in there. Yeah. So, definitely worth to get out. Nice clean ground is always good. Gives you that bit of extra confidence as well with keeping stuff on the bottom. And you should find one if they're about. They're going to find that lure.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like they're one of those really underrated fish. I think on LRF they're just proper. Yeah, they're proper target, aren't they? Really worth putting the effort in. And I think if anyone's catching them on bait, if you know of anywhere that they turn up on bait, it's definitely worth trying on the lures. I think it's one of those ones that I think as a good entry level, well, as a special fish really, but as an easier fish to catch, because obviously you can just shove a metal in their face and they'll probably take it.
Yeah.
It's
Beautiful
definitely
fish as well.
Oh, so pretty.
Just stunning when they come out of the water with those the blue flanks to their pectoral fins.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, pretty little fish.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing, mate. I mean, the 95 was 95. Did you say it was
95
95 in what, like a month or 2 months?
in a month.
In a month.
Impressive work.
That is a fantastic amount of fish.
And then I got out, I think, the 2nd or 3rd of August, and I think I had about 16 in the one night then. So I'm now currently on 114 for the year.
The entire Gurnard population of Dawlish, mate.
I've had them all.
We've had them all twice.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich, we'll talk about your recent sessions, mate.
Oh, I don't know. I've been pottering around really. I've had a bit of time off work, so I've had a chance to get out a bit more often than I normally would, as I know you've noticed, Ben.
Yeah, a bit jealous. But
I've been drawn to Brixham quite a lot. We all know what that's like for a species hunter.
yeah. So it's a mecca, really, isn't it?
It is absolute mecca, and the fact we've started to find a few more unusual bits down there recently has kind of added the.
Well, do you want to explain those unusual
Are
bits?
you sure you want me to?
Well, I'm not to say where we're catching them, but you can definitely explain what
so,
we're catching.
Obviously stumbled across them by complete chance initially in a particular spot. We've started to find some ringneck blennies. Yeah,
Nice.
Special fish.
like there's a really healthy population down there, obviously, because we can go down there and be fairly confident that we can catch them now, won't we?
Yeah, exactly. We're even sight fishing for them. It's mad. And I think you caught one the other day. It was proper male in its breeding colours, wasn't it? It was black. It was really dark.
Very dark fish, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for those who haven't seen the pictures yet, I recommend just obviously having a look. I mean, I wrote a blog about it recently. It was on Richard's post and Joe's post. Joe, have you had one yet?
No, I had
Sorry,
one
I
yet.
just rubbed it in there,
No,
mate.
just
Sorry.
To be fair, he'd made up for it and caught a cookie wrasse.
That is true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, none of us have had except for Joe, have had a cookie wrasse.
Yeah.
So
Sight fish for a cuckoo wrasse, that doesn't happen often.
that's special. So the ringneck, it just essentially looks very similar to a small tompot blenny, but it's far more sort of like daintier, and it's got the 2 sort of defined rings on its neck, which a tompot definitely doesn't have. So it's worth having a look at your catches when you are, if you are scaling down.
Quite
But
unique markings on their flank as well.
they
isn't
definitely, it's quite marbled, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're. I would say they're probably out competing the shanies down there at the moment in that spot. so
Really? Well, maybe that's the future, mate. We'll see.
Maybe, yeah.
Because they are definitely. If you look at the divers' reports and stuff like that, I mean, I follow quite a few divers on Instagram and stuff, and they obviously they call them variable blennies, but they're the same species.
Yeah.
But they're taking pictures of them all the time now. So it's only a matter of time before they sort of become really established inshore in like the really normal marks, like maybe like Mountbatten and Plymouth, or
on your local harbour walls, basically.
well, that's it. Yeah, pretty much, because
where
they
you find your blennies and
it looks like they like the same sort of ground. So yeah, I mean, keep your eyes out, guys. It'll be interesting to see if we see any more sort of common catches of those as they come out. Any more interesting stuff, Rich? I know you've had some good stuff.
I had a good day down in Weymouth. I just sort of loitered around a stone pier, really. I was obviously aware that there was a couple of black bream caught during the Big Lerf thing, wasn't there? So I was quite keen to tick one of them off. Ended up finding quite a few off the end of the stone pier, just drifting a bit of ISO me around the edge on a split shot rig.
Yep.
And they were snaffling it. Well, between them and the pout, really.
There's so many pout in Weymouth. During the Big Lerf comp, the fundraiser one, we were just, I think everyone had a micro pout, didn't they? It was just,
plagued.
They were tiny, but they're like piranhas, had everything.
Yeah.
Mad little fish, and loads of them. But the bream obviously are pretty special, aren't they? They're very
something about them, isn't there?
Yeah. They don't turn up very often in our catches, do they? Really?
No. I mean, I think the only other ones I've had are down in Cornwall when we've been down there, or a few I've had on holiday. But
yeah, you had a few off Newquay once, didn't you?
Yeah, I think they sort of hang around off the end of that harbour as well, actually.
Yeah. It's it says probably another fish we'll probably see more and more of as the years go by and the water warms up a little bit more.
Hopefully they're pretty good sport on the lake here, aren't they? And quite, as we were talking about earlier, quite aggressive. So
yeah, definitely. Well, that's the bream in general. Yeah. So, which that probably leads me into what I've had recently. Which so we're speaking of. Last night I had a lovely little sort of chilled session with Morris, the old Plymouth LRF legend. The old boy, he's always got a trick up his sleeve. And we were after black bream actually, because there've been a few caught off Elphinstone in Plymouth, which is a very popular mark, so there's no problem with blowing that one. But yeah, we fished around there, and it was just sort of, again, pout and whiting. It's just everything you put down was getting smashed by whiting. It was just like piranhas.
They're in there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, they're proper small ones as well, so there's not really a huge amount of sport to be had with those, unfortunately. But as we worked our way around and stuff, we found as the light went and it got quieter, because there's a lot of tourists in Plymouth at the moment. I'm sort of fishing this little corner, and was lucky enough just to have a real strong bite, and it pulled the rod right around. I'm using the 3 gram Agi Magecraft, and it's so sensitive, and it just pulled right round. It could only be one thing. It had to be a bream. And as it's sort of like this tiny little fish just whirring around in front of me, see its blunt head come through, and it just turned out it was a couch's, and I was just
amazing.
A couch's bream. And that is for the Cornish people, it's couches they pronounce it, but named after Jonathan Couch, so that's my shout on that one. So
Stand your ground.
I'll stand my ground. I could be wrong. Cornish pronunciation is a little bit different, but there we go. So I had a few couches, and 2, and the most important one obviously I caught was the one on a tiny little Magecraft 1.5 gram jig para little metal that sort of just jigged in the front of the steps in front of me, and just got lucky one hit it, and that's probably my most satisfying catch of the year.
That's a very cool catch.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that
Well
one.
done, mate.
I'll be living off that one for a while.
Yeah.
We got sent the picture of that one last night, and we're all very excited by seeing that.
Yeah.
Everyone likes a mini metal, especially
Yeah.
when it's got something cool on the end of it.
That's it. I mean, the 1.5 jigs, I mean, I don't know if we'll talk about that in future podcasts if we choose to do one again, but obviously they're not the easiest things to fish with, the real tiny jigs, and they're only suitable in certain sort of conditions, but when they do work, they're so satisfying, and you can get some cool species on them.
Yeah. I mean, you've had a fair few species on the metals this year, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I'm on 15 so far.
15, yeah.
So that's half of my species this year I've had on metals. So that's
not bad.
Not bad. Yeah. So I want to get 20. That'd be the ideal. If I get 20, I'd be really satisfied with that.
That's still
the Big Lerf Weekender. That'll
do
it.
Exactly. Hopefully so. But yeah, so I think that probably rounds up our trip so far. So that's sort of end of part 2. In part 3, we'll go through social media and just pick out some of your catches, guys, and see what you've been catching. Cheers.
Pleasure.
The Big Lerf podcast, talking LRF and more. Okay, so part 3 of the podcast. Just thought this one would be about sort of going through social media, and sort of just because so much of that of LRF really is about that, about sort of us seeing and sharing pictures and seeing all the different catches everyone's catching from across the country and across the world. So I thought I'd just ask the guys really just to sort of pick out some of their favourite catches that they've seen sort of recently. I mean, obviously this is the very first time we've done this, so we can be as far back as you like, really. But Rich, if you want to go first.
Okay. I think I have to give a shout out to Ben Coleman, as much as it pains me. He tortures me with photos of all the things he catches, but he had a couple of big roach on lures recently, which I thought was really cool.
That was so
and he
cool.
did it wearing a Big Lerf hoodie, so he gets maximum bonus points for that.
That was a ridiculous roach, a couple of roaches he had.
Huge, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was such an odd lure to catch on. What was it that he was catching on? It's a strange looking thing.
Now you got me. Yeah,
I've got you. I put you on the spot.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah, it's very cool. Really impressed with that.
Definitely. What else we got? Joe, you could pick out any you seen recently?
Can we just? I know we've spoken about it before, but Morris's red mullet.
Yeah, it's worth talking about because, I mean, I was fishing on the Big Lerf, and it was getting to the end of the day, and we'd had a couple of black bream, but Adam Kirby, who won the thing, the main prize, had already caught one, and so I couldn't give him the prize, and so I was sort of crying out for coolest fish, someone to pick one out, and then Morris, out of the blue, just picks it out.
What a way to do it!
I know, red mullet, LRF caught.
I thought the timing was great as well. There's a lot of people on that pier to sort of see it.
Yeah, and everyone sort of collectively lost their minds. It's sort of like anyone who really knew what it was just like,
Yeah.
Oh my
That
god,
created a big buzz, didn't it?
it did.
I was on the end of the pier and all I heard was red mullet.
Yeah.
And just spun around like a flash, like you do.
Yeah, as you would.
Absolutely bonkers. And yeah, to go see that one come out, that's a special fish.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
really special.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've only seen one. I think the only time I've ever seen one actually that's not been on a plate. I know, disgusting. But the was in the mouth of a shag, I think. Do you remember that time we were down?
Was that down Elfie?
It was Elfie. Yeah, we were all down there fishing, and literally pretty much where I'd been fishing only seconds before, this shag came up with a decent sized red mullet in its gob, and proceeded to swallow it down in front of me.
They got a habit of rubbing your nose in.
They have. I've got. Well, it happened with a flounder the other day in Foy. Literally, Coleman went down to pretty much where I was fishing, picked up a flounder that would have been a lovely catch, and couldn't swallow it down. It got robbed by a blackback gull. Sorry.
Oh dear.
I know. Circle of life. That is so beautiful.
What a way to go.
I think my shout probably. I mean, I've always love Jamie Sanford. Do you guys follow him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love Jamie Sanford's posts. I've been friends with him on Facebook for a long time. We keep saying we're going to catch up and actual meet in person, but until then, I'll give him a shout because he's always so keen on the lure gear and the fly gear. And I think I'm just looking at one. He's had a flounder out and some wrasse. I think he's been going up to Scotland and catching a few.
Yeah, it looked like he's had some really good trips actually.
That's it. Yeah, he's had rock cook and stuff like that out there. So
yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, amazing. Got a lot of time for that. You found any yet, Joe?
No, trying to look through. I know I've got stuff in my likes, but my likes ain't loading.
While he's occupied there, I think we need to give Joe some credit for. I think this went sort of under the radar a bit, but he. Correct me if I'm wrong here. You caught a minnow on a metal quite recently, didn't you?
I did indeed.
A minnow on a metal.
I just think that's.
On a little 0.8 gram metal that I was.
Was that the Rudy's ones?
That was indeed, yeah.
Yeah. That was from Johnny, wasn't it? Oh no, not Johnny. That would have been Lucas sold those. Yeah,
that was indeed.
Wow.
I just thought that was a really cool one.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually while we're talking about Joe, just to make him embarrassed or whatever, but I just want to talk about that turbot again because that's a very, very cool catch on a what was it? A
swing impact.
Swing impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever caught a turbot on a swing impact? I bet they haven't. I bet that's the first time ever.
Yeah.
Could well be.
I've had them on metals. Yeah, I bet you do. What's crazy is obviously that fish is not a big fish, but the excitement it gives you. Like obviously, this is the fun thing about LRF. Obviously, you can catch medium-sized fish, large fish, and they will pull your arm off. But sometimes the most exciting fish you catch are the tiny ones. Like
yeah, so true.
The
the
rare
unexpected.
Stuff. Exactly,
Yeah.
that's it. When you pull something up like a top knot or like the ringneck blennies we've been talking about, and the couches last night I was talking about there, it's just these are the special catches that you only really get of LRF, and that's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah, too true.
Oh, I can see you put Matt Barnsley. I want to shout out obviously to these guys. So Matt Barnsley is as is Danny Hill as well. Those two absolutely love them. Every time they get involved in every competition that we're involved in, don't they? They're just sort of so keen.
Love their enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. They just brighten up every competition that we do.
It's always good to see those guys.
Just,
and they've been
excitement.
Yeah, and they've been catching I think Matt has at least been catching perch and bass in Bristol.
Yeah,
just at the same. And I think a flounder came out at the same time. You think that's a cool little venue, that really urban. And I've been to Bristol, and it's murky water. That can't be easy fishing.
Doesn't inspire you to lure fish, does it?
No, but they're doing it.
Yeah, they're smashing it.
Fair play to them. That's class. I mean, as I said, we look forward to seeing them again. They're definitely getting involved with the Big Lerf weekender, obviously in September. So we look forward to seeing them again.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll definitely bump into them a few
100%.
times. And just anything else? Anything ones we picking out?
Blackface Blenny always needs a shout, doesn't it? I think Martin Avens
Yes.
caught one of those recently, didn't he? So hats off to him. That's and I think he put in a few sessions to get that. So that's a remarkable catch, really, isn't it? Yeah, I think that always gets us excited when we see one of them pop up, doesn't it? Don't see them very often, do you?
No, you don't. No, because in the banana yellow,
Yeah.
you would expect to see
you
them.
would actually spot
Cannot
them, wouldn't
miss
you?
them.
So,
That's it. Yeah, I just thought they're a pretty rare catch, and I think there's a video of Jack Perks upload. I think was it because of andymytton.
he's very close to catching one.
Very
isn't he?
close to catching one,
Yeah.
and you think, oh god, they're just not easy. It's just not a simple fish to catch. A very small mouth.
Yeah.
And just not very common. I think they get them around Swanage Pier. They get a few.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah.
I mean, that place holds a lot of special fish. Got to give that place a bit more of a go.
Yeah, we should.
You fished it, boy. Joe, have you fished it?
Not since 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow, okay. So you wouldn't even been fishing LRF then?
No.
Road trip required then.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Yeah.
So I thought of someone to give a shout out to.
Okay.
Going back to the Big Lerf Weekender, always a pleasure to see him get in the zone is Will Pender.
Yeah, shout out to Will.
He's very good at what he does, like a little ninja, just sneaks out from that crowd and he's straight out. I think he was the first person with a hook in the water
That's
on that
true.
day.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
straight on that wall behind us, blew us straight in. I think he was straight into a pollock within seconds.
Makes it
Yeah.
look so easy,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Seconds off the start. Seen him a couple times throughout the day, always completely in a different spot to where everyone else is,
That's true.
and just
He knows.
racks up those numbers. It's one of those like special people to watch do their thing. 'Cause
Master of the art, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I
Yes,
don't want to blow
absolutely.
smoke up his ass too much. But no, he's a phenomenal angler, really is. Every time I go out fishing with him, I'll just you can just watch him, and he's always first to the spots, and he just always knows where the fish are going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we've obviously been out fishing with him loads now, and any trip around Cornwall that you go around with him, you just learn new
It's
things.
a bit of a treat, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's always just got new stuff up his sleeve.
Yeah, the only person that can point to a bit of water and tell you what fish is going to be in it,
Yeah.
and it'll come out.
And probably catch it.
Yeah.
It's coming out. Yeah. Yeah, I say you fish him and you think you're doing all right, and he'll be like, "So how many species you got?" You'll be like 10, doing all right. He'll be like, "Yeah, 18."
Yeah,
You know, that's a true story of our first Cornish Lure Festival, isn't it?
Yeah, we thought we were doing all right,
We
didn't
thought we
we?
did okay, and then it just called him up. He's like, "Yeah, 18." Oh, okay. Possibly not doing that well, to be honest. But yeah, he's a top bloke as well. Obviously, always so keen to like give out his information if you need it. You know, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Will's great. Speaking of, got a train going past. I don't know if that picked up in there, but I was just thinking of obviously Josh Fletcher's another one. Lovely guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't fished with him as much, but obviously for the Cornish and Luke Fox as well.
yes.
Obviously, we talk about the Cornish guys. You know, they.
Yeah, and those guys have been doing it for years, haven't
That's
they?
it.
They've
Exactly.
sort of-
They're the original ones, really. And obviously, well, not the original, but like pretty much there. So
OGs.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
been doing it a long time. Great. Really good anglers. I think a lot of them catch a lot of bass at the moment, and yeah, fair play to them. Good anglers.
Yeah.
Anyone else we think of? Give a shout out to. There's probably loads that I sort of forget. I mean,
Yeah, so many.
yeah.
We're going to have to do more podcasts just to cover that. I think.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
but hopefully we'll get a few
Yeah.
of them on here if that'd be the ideal way.
The weekly shout out.
Yeah.
That's what
Definitely,
it'd
mate. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. If you're not on here this time, you'll be on there next time, guys.
Yeah,
So
just keep on fishing.
that's it.
Keep on fishing.
All right. Well, we'll head to the sort of last, sort of final part of the podcast next, and we'll be talking about what's coming up, sort of how we're going to tackle the next sort of season going ahead, but until the next pod. Okay. The Big Lerf podcast, talking LRF and more. Before we go into the final part of the Big Lerf podcast, episode 1, I just wanted to let you know that there is a moment during this part where a family decided to get into their car and make all sorts of noises that proved quite distracting. I wasn't going to leave it in, and I even say that during this section, but I decided to keep it in because we started talking about some interesting stuff and also found it quite humorous, so hopefully you will too. Enjoy. So, part 4. Really, it's just we thought we'd talk about sort of how we're going to tackle up for the next sort of month or so going ahead. We're speaking right at the beginning of August. I'll say beginning of the first week of August, really. So, how are we looking at going into sort of the best part of the year? Going into late summer, early autumn. How we're going to tackle that and what species we'll be targeting, really. So, obviously, we've got the Big Lerf weekend coming up in that, but what else other than that are we going to be targeting during that time? So I thought just start with Joe and just see what you're going ahead and how you're going to target it.
So yeah, look forward to the changeover of species when you get a bit of everything in the water. You get your summer fish, you get your winter fish that are getting ready. So yeah, I'm looking forward to especially at the Big Lerf, like trying to find some flounder, things like that. Again, another special fish to see come out the water. Nice little scrap on them as well. They are good fun fish. Kind of picture them with colder weather coming in, like those nights starting to draw in a little bit. Yeah, finding them under the head torch and stuff like that. That's
special fish.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I've blogged about it and stuff, but hopefully, if we do another podcast and stuff, we'll talk about that a bit more in detail. But yeah, the flounder are a special fish. I mean, hopefully when we're going around the Big Lerf and stuff, hopefully we'll pick out one or two. You know,
that'd be good.
They're one of those fish that either just turn up or they don't, don't they? You know, they either get loads or you get none. It's really strange.
Mostly none for me.
Mostly none, yeah. Well, I'm quite lucky living in Plymouth. Obviously, I've got some really good flounder fishing on my doorstep. So when the nights get a lot colder and darker, you know, you can really go out there and at least you can see them. You know, you may not be able to catch them all the time, but you can find a view. So it's very much the sort of ground you've got in front of you. But I think so many anglers across the country have got the sort of estuaries, etc., that holds them near them. So they're definitely a fish I think that people should be targeting, you know, as much as they can, really, because they're great fun.
Exciting fish.
especially on lures as well. It's one of those ones. A few years back, you just assume. Oh well, I just assumed it was a bait fish.
Yeah.
You just pick them up on bait, but they will hammer
Yeah.
a lure.
Yeah. They've obviously I've had some savage takes. You know, literally pulling the rod right round, and that's the thing. There's so much potential with LRF to target species that are not normally deemed as. Yeah.
Really get the best out of a flounder with an LRF rod, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to haul them in on these massive rods.
No.
Just pause a sec. Well, that could be for a while, isn't it? Still recording. I don't care.
Still recording.
Right, I'm not going to include this on the pod, obviously. Just going to let him start up.
No, like, it was good, but that weird 10-minute break.
Yeah.
What was that all
That
about?
was strange. It was interesting to.
Just giving you guys a chance to gather your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, what do you think so far? Right in.
Yes. Ask questions.
That's what
Send in
questions. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh god.
You're going to get asked questions about the Stinger rig. That's what you'll get asked
Oh, you will. Yeah.
straight
I haven't
away.
even talked about that.
First thing I do is say, look, I didn't invent it.
But it is called the Devon Stinger.
That's true. That's true. I think I invented it personally. But
Oh my god. I have always given you credit that we discussed it.
we definitely discussed it. It
and
was
I just adapted it
this is true.
and ran with it and showed.
The Tenago hooks, they were the game changer on that one.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, they've changed it up, haven't they? In the last month, they've changed up how people fished
That's it. Yeah.
massively.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think-
It's just that really short hook length. It's just perfect.
yeah. The little bit of braid just it behaves much better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's much kinder, sort of like it doesn't knot as much, and it just sort of like doesn't kink. It's just
A bit more supple, isn't it?
that's
Yeah.
it. It's just a better. It doesn't. The only problem with that is they're so finely tied that any decent fish,
They pull out so easy.
pull
don't
out.
they?
You can
Yeah.
snap the hook, so you can just
There's definitely a gap in the market for a slightly stronger
yeah.
version of that.
It just
Yeah.
kind of goes against what what the whole aim of it is, but the
Yeah.
Japanese would never do that, would they?
No, that's it.
So, Rich, what are you going to be doing in the matter here?
I think this time of year is when I start thinking about things like SCAD.
Oh yeah,
You know, nights are drawing in a bit, aren't they?
we haven't even mentioned SCAD.
Exactly, and I
Oh.
think they are a real sort of proper LRF fish, if you know what I mean. It's an
That's it.
exciting target.
Yeah,
But really, this is when all the pelagics get a bit lively, innit? And
Yeah.
you can have some fun sort of fishing up in the water a bit. Because I mean, I do a lot of scratching around in the rocks, to be fair, the first
Yeah.
6 months of the year or 7 months of the year, because it can be quite hard going for the other stuff. But now's the time when I start thinking about, you know, I think garfish. Hopefully they'll start showing up soon.
yeah. We haven't seen any yet. Have we?
No.
That's not that unusual, I guess. But it's been,
No,
I think it's been a slow year so far for all of the pelagics, hasn't it? Really.
yeah,
You've
it's
got-
been a weird one, hasn't it?
yeah. I mean, I've had some mackerel in Cornwall, but I mean, not really any in Plymouth.
No,
I've
Joe and
not-
I had a really busy evening on the mackerel in Brixham, didn't we? And
Yeah.
then, but elsewhere, it
But
just
But Tor
seems,
Bay's like a different rules,
Yeah.
mate, isn't
it
it?
is.
You know?
I think it's got its own sort of resident stock almost.
Yeah.
That's
They
it.
just,
Yeah.
You could sort of catch a mackerel any time of year down there, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, we fished. What was it late last year? It was like a summer's evening.
I think it was almost the end the last day of January, wasn't it?
What was it? It was
30th?
January. I thought it was December.
Sorry, December.
Yeah.
Last day of December, last day of the year almost.
Yeah, and the fish were topping like it was a summer's evening.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
bitterly cold.
It was,
There were dolphins going around and everything. That was incredible.
yeah.
That's what Torbay's like. But I mean, going back to SCAD, I mean, obviously they deserve a full episode of a podcast on their own. But I think it's funny because they're just not regarded by the average, I think, angler who's feathering, etc. Because for eating wise, they're just not in the UK
Not
for some
regarded
reason.
very highly.
No, the Japanese love them, but around the
Yeah.
Med. But obviously we don't really do that so much. I mean, any LRFer I think just clearly loves them.
Yeah.
It's like they are such a special fish. They're there's a train going by again. Who decided to record next to a
That's it, train track.
That's it. I think obviously for those who don't know, probably everyone knows, but just state the obvious for anybody who doesn't. I mean, aji is the Japanese word for scad, and that's if you look on any LRF rod from like some Major Craft, etc. They've got whole rods, lures, etc. all dedicated to this one species, and it just shows how special they are. I think because I mean, while we're on the conversation, might as well talk about how we would tackle going for scad. I mean, Rich, obviously you would.
I think everyone will probably say the same. Find a light source to start with. There's some great places in Plymouth, isn't there, where there's a bit of light on the water, which draws in the bait fish, and which in turn draws in sort of the predators.
Yeah.
And that really sort of concentrates them in an area where you can target. And just, I mean, when they're really on it, it doesn't really matter too much what you put in the water. But if they're not quite on it, it's just, I think, fishing sort of something that will fall through the water slowly, that you can hang up in the water a bit, and they tend to sort of snap that up, won't they?
Definitely. I think I said if you can put the sort of practice into it to fish as ultralight as possible.
Yeah, sort of a slightly more delicate lures, perhaps.
Yeah.
A sort of a straw tail type rather than a paddle tail, perhaps.
Yeah, it might do that sort of, sometimes will be the difference. And so I think also, and this works for many species as well, is working that shadow line.
Yes,
where you've got the light on the water. Obviously the fish haven't got eyelids. They don't really want to be staring straight into that bright light.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the big predators, which have got these massive eyes, particularly the scad, etc., as pollock, will be hanging around in those shadows. And if you can work it on that line, quite often you'll pick off a decent fish just hiding in those shadows.
Yeah, very true.
That works really, really well in Plymouth for that. And but in Cornwall, some of the sessions we've had on them, I mean, obviously last year we'll talk about for the Big Lerf and stuff, and in Foy it was just,
there's a spot that sort of I think we all hold quite dear, don't we?
Yeah, exactly, and it's just absolutely mad, and you can just drop. I was there last week, and it was just it's just incredible. The scad there, Bassett there, mackerel. It's just
blew my mind the first time we went there.
Yeah,
we had a day trip,
yes,
didn't we, to Cornwall?
Yeah,
and we fished that spot that night. And blew my mind. It was like tropical.
It's quite unique, isn't
tropical waters, just fish everywhere.
Yeah.
Just wherever you look, and just hammering whatever was touching the water.
There was no sort of subtlety. It was nothing. You just put on whatever you like, and you were going to hit it.
I remember when we first found that mark, didn't we? And we sort of didn't really know what we were walking into.
No.
See a few fish topping. Well, this looks promising.
Yeah.
And you had to pull me away, didn't you? Because I was getting a bit addicted to.
Well, yeah,
I've
been lucky enough to experience that kind of feeding frenzy and stuff before. So obviously in Plymouth you do get that, but I think you haven't been so lucky. Obviously, I haven't fished into night as much back then.
Certainly not back then. I hadn't done much at all.
So I think at that point though, it really was. We were just like we're on the sand, just casting to it, and it was, it was just fish after fish. It was, and like you could. If you dropped a little bit deeper, you get different species, and if you kept it up, you would get it'd be like mackerel, it'd be scad, it would be
good bass as well.
Good bass, and the bass are a little bit shyer, but you still get them, phenomenal. It's just, and that's the sort of fishing that you just sort of you can't even explain it. You can't. None of our words here can do justice to it. And a video wouldn't do justice. The only way is you can just experience that kind of fishing, and that's and LRF rods just produce that because you get so much fun out of it. They're literally bent in half. My 3 gram Aji Do was literally bent in half getting pulled around by these big scad the other
I
week.
can imagine. I'm looking forward to taking mine down.
I know, mate. It's going to be so much fun. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got the 5 foot as you do, haven't you? As
Yeah,
well, so that's even smaller.
That's
and-
going to be fun.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, what's the biggest fish you've had in the AGD so far? You've had some good stuff.
I think the first decent fish I had on that was that mackerel. And obviously Joe happened to get a bit of video.
That was a good video, that.
Yeah. One of the biggest mackerel I've caught. I don't think I really did it justice in the video, but that was so much fun. I mean, everyone knows what a decent mackerel goes like.
Yeah.
And that little rod soaked it up. Bit of patience and.
It pulled you halfway around the wall, didn't it? You went from
I
one
had to
side
follow it.
to nearly the other side. It was
Yeah.
scrambling across rocks. It was
But I've had I've had ballons up to about £2. I had quite a
Yeah.
few. I had a half decent pollock.
Yeah, I saw that.
That
That was
was
good fish.
That was a good fish. Smashed me right with my feet pretty much. But again, I don't know how that rod achieves it, but it seems to be able to.
Yeah, it's magic what they've done there. You know,
Yeah.
and, as I said, me and Rich are involved with Magecraft, in a small way, but no matter, even if we weren't, we would be talking about that rod.
Yeah, it's a special rod, isn't
That's it. I mean, we are just lucky that we get to fish with it, and there weren't many of them that came into the country. Hopefully, a few more come in, but they're a really, really special rod. But I mean, there's so many fantastic rods out there, and hopefully we'll cover that. In later editions, we can go through some of the tackle that we recommend and use, and it doesn't all have to be high end, really specialist sort of tackle. It can be.
No, not at all.
There's so many good stuff. I mean, I think thanks to the likes of like HTO and stuff, they've really made it very accessible to get an LRF rod.
yeah, that's where I started with mine.
Yeah,
It's
me
all H2O stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Done me well.
Rockfish Revolution.
Revolution, yeah, and
Yeah.
it was like 30 quid, 40 quid, like
Yeah, which is
fucking, it's a bargain.
pennies.
Nearly swollen. I was like, yeah, but yeah, it was absolute, nothing, is it? I mean, you are probably going to snap it at some point because it's just your first LRF rod. You just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
Which I did twice.
Yeah,
So
yeah, me too. But that just obviously shows there is so much. It doesn't have to be the tackle tarty, 200, 300 pound rods, expensive reels, etc. You can get away with it. I think.
As you say, it probably pays not to do that to start with.
Yeah, that's it.
Get
It's like
yourself a cheap one.
learning the craft sort of thing, and
And find out if you like it. Because you
Yeah.
might. I mean, I can't imagine this. I think LRF sucks.
no way, surely not. I mean,
no
surely
one's ever thought that.
Yeah.
surely the listeners of the Big Lerf podcast.
I know that's crazy talk.
Yeah, that one,
Sorry.
we're preaching to the converted here, aren't we? Let's be honest. But
Yeah.
it's a really special niche of the sport, and I thought I'd just that's what the whole point of this podcast really was, just to try and sort of show a bit of that, and and see if there's interest in this, and we'll carry it on, and just want to get some of that sort of friendly vibe across. And if anybody has got any sort of questions that they wanted sort of answered by us, I mean, at the end of the day, we're not experts or anything, we're just anglers like you guys. It's just but we're here and happy to answer anything because we've been doing it for a little while. It's just get involved if you want to just message us on some of our social media platforms, whatever, and if you've got any questions, or if you want to share anything that's been really cool and caught, and obviously want us to give you a shout out, 100% keen for that as well, just to get everyone
definitely
involved, because this is essentially, LRF is really inclusive, and I want to keep it that way, sort of thing, and that's what draws us all to the sport and what keeps us going, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I want to
isn't
see your gurnards. Get your gurnards out.
Get your gurnards out for the lads.
That's what I like.
That's what we want to see. Joe just wants to see wall-to-wall girded.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Yep. I guess we'll just sort of finish and say, well, what we're doing right now, we're sitting in a car park in Dawlish with all the ambient sounds that comes with it. So I'm sorry if that all come through on this recording, but we're about to give the sort of gurnard a crack as the sun sets, and hopefully catch a few, I think.
Yeah, we'll find them. They're there.
They're there.
it? They're waiting for us.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.